while you're sitting here being negative and giving yourself every reason why you can't get ahead, while why the generations before us destroyed the economy, why AI is taking all the jobs, why it's not possible to make money anymore, inflation has killed everything. Well, I can tell you a couple things. First of all, you've been sold a lie, and a lot of people are making well, here's something they won't tell you. A lot of people are making a lot of money on selling you this BS, this complete garbage that you can't get ahead. There's a lot of people making money on it. And if you don't believe me, there's a lot of people making money on it. Just go online and see all the people telling you why you can't make it in today's economy. And the reason why they're making money off of it is because a lot of people can't figure out what's happening to them, and then they find that's the reason. They say, oh, hey, it's not my fault I'm not making a lot of money. It's not my fault I'm not ahead. And yes, there's a little bit more to it, and we'll get into that in a second. But don't buy into this. Don't buy into this. You know, here's a great truth that's been true when I was coming up, that's true now, and that will continue being true in the future. And I'll tell you what I'm doing over here in a second. Because if you watch my videos, you're going, what the hell's going on? But anyways, hard work. Like you can't work 40 hours a week and expect anything. And if anything, right now, if you're only working 40 hours a week, you can't expect anything. You're probably gonna fall behind. And before you say, oh, you know, it wasn't like that before, this and that, it's always been like that. Guys, it's always been like that. It's always been, if you want to get ahead, you got to work 50, 60, 70, 80 hours a week. Now, does that mean, is that for everybody? No, it's not for everybody. And does that mean you have to do it for for 40 years? No, you might only have to do it for 20 years or 10 years or 5 years. Maybe you only have to do it for a year or two. Whatever your goal is, whatever point gets you ahead, that's how long you got to do it for. If you're broke and you're behind, you got no money, you got no savings, and you got credit card debt or you got school loan debt, work 80 hours a week. Do what you need to do. Get out of debt. Here's the great truth. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. You know, while we're complaining, while we're saying, oh, it's this, it's that, nobody cares. Nobody cares. If people making big money, they don't care. They don't care about us. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care. And the people preaching you that, hey, it's okay, it's not your fault, they're making money off that. So they want you to watch their videos. They want you to read their books. They want you to buy into their system of why you can't get ahead today. But guys, it's always been like this. And here's the thing too. You know, I study history, not like I've got no formal education. For those of you who watch my videos, you know I don't have any formal education. I'm 45. Got a wife, got 4 kids, got a business. I don't have any formal education at all. Or if I do, it's very minimal, okay? But one thing I always do is I'm an avid reader. And when I say avid reader, I mean I read a lot. Sometimes I read more than other times, blah, 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 whatever. But one of the things that interests me is history. And if you look at history, there's times where things are so much worse. And yes, you could say AI's, you know, they're pitching this thing, AI's coming in, they're going to wipe out all the jobs. Well, guess what? As of right now, as of today, just today, it's not wiping out jobs, okay? Will it do it next week, next month, next year, in 5 years? Maybe. We don't know. But guess what? Until it happens, work your ass off. Because guess what? It probably never happened. You know, I talked about in one of my early videos, this is a while ago, that you know, well, there's always, at every single point in time, there's a boogeyman, okay? There's a boogeyman that's going to come and destroy everything. In the 2000s, I should say in the 90s and late 90s, it was Y2K. For those who are old enough for that, you know that people were legitimately scared, and people thought that as soon as the year hit I can't talk. As soon as the clock hit the year 2000, that everything would shut down, banks would not work, credit card, electricity would go off. Everyone was freaked out. You know, everyone was legitimately freaked out, and it didn't happen. Now, were there software things that they had to upgrade and stuff? Yes, and things happened, and it was no big deal. You know, when we're always led to believe that, you know, big companies like Amazon's going to come wipe everything out. Now, does Amazon wipe a lot of companies out? Yeah. But are there companies that compete against Amazon and make a lot of money off Amazon? Yes, there is. Guys, there's always opportunity. There's always opportunity. And the thing is, you're only going to get the opportunity if you look for the opportunity, if you're open to it. It's simple as that. Now, real quick, before we go a little further in the video, what's with my construction clothes, what do you want to call it, and why it looks like this? Because when I moved into my house a few years ago, I built the house, but I mean I had the house built, and when I was building the house was finished, and for the basement level, I asked the builder how much it would be to have it finished by the builder, and the builder gave me just an enormous, at least to me, it was just a ridiculous price, which I was like, there's no way I can pay that much money, have it drywall and carpet and finish. So I'm like, I'll do it myself, right? So I move in, I put my office downstairs, and make a home office for myself downstairs in the basement. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do it really quick. I drywalled it because I know how to drywall. I know how to like frame a room, and I can drywall it. But what I did is I really shortcutted it because I just wanted to get it done. So I didn't tape it properly. I didn't mud it properly, and I just threw it together, and it bugged me because it looked like hell. It looked really bad, like every day. And I hated the paint color I did. I hated the carpeting I did. If you look at the paint color, it's just very drab. I don't like it. In my office in my old house, I had but again too, that you're talking about different styles, different like eras. But I had I painted like a red, not this color red, but a little darker red than this. Like a little, I don't know that you would say darker, but yeah, I guess it was darker than this color. Like looks like a bright red. It was like somewhere between this and I'm trying to think of maybe almost like I don't know how to describe it, but anyways, it was darker than this, right? And there was a color that I liked that at the time. Now I wouldn't paint my office red now, but I'll show you in a few videos. I'll show you the finish off. I think it'll look pretty cool. But so anyways, this paint color, I hated it. It's just so blah. So I don't like it. I hate it. And so anyway, so real quick, I ripped out a lot of the drywall that I did, and I'm redoing it. And I'm just doing it in my off time. So this is like Friday night, and while other people go out and have fun, it's like, no, my kids are, some of my kids are sleeping, some of my kids are out and doing whatever, and then my wife's upstairs, watching TV or doing some housework. I'm downstairs doing this. But guys, this is the thing. You're not gonna. Here's the reality no one's gonna tell you, because people are gonna tell you what you want to hear. And this is the problem. And I don't even say today's society, because it's always been like this, but people will tell you what you want to hear in order to sell you something, right? Like I'm not trying to sell you anything. you've been watching my videos for a long time. My whole point is my channel has two purposes. One that I've been open about, and my other one, I don't know if I've talked about this before, but my one that I've been open about it is for my kids. Like if my kids watch my videos, to kind of get a glimpse of what I can't tell them on a day-to-day basis, because it's like, well, most of the videos I make is like, I think of something out of my head during the day. I'm like, oh, I got to do a video on that. I do it. So it's like, I do it. Now, if my videos have, in a very small way, I feel like they've gained a little bit, where I notice that the people who are watching are getting something out of it. And my watch times are good, which is excellent, and that's ultimately, it's, not that it matters that much, but it kind of gives me justification, where it's like, okay, well, I think what I'm talking about is right, because this is something I wish was available when I was coming up, because I had, and this is for another video, but there's a lot of things that I was questioning because I had no one to turn to. Like legitimately, I had no one to turn to. And for me, it got really dark, for a long time when I was first coming up. And I wish this platform was available, 15, 20 years ago, because it would have probably saved me a lot of distress, and probably would have saved me a few, at least shortcutted me a few years of work, and where I was just in a deep dark place. It was really hard for me. But my other thing that I haven't been, my other point of the channel that I haven't talked about, is that it's almost a reminder to myself. It's so even if my videos got no views, no subscribers, nothing. The videos help me because it helps me verbalize what I need to do. Like I know what I need to do, but sometimes, we're all human. So maybe I don't work as hard. So I'll talk about like, hey, hard work, got me from here to here. And now I want to go from here to here. And I know you want to go, maybe you're here and you want to go to here. Wherever you are at the scale, you want to move ahead too. And for me, that's what got me ahead. And I know that's what's going to get me farther ahead. And wherever you're at, whether you're back here where I was before, or maybe, I'm here and you're already here. And you want to go farther. It doesn't matter where you're at. It doesn't matter where you're starting from. It doesn't matter, what point you are. Hard work is going to get you farther. We talked about before, as far as working smarter. Now, my take on working smart is I think it's a scam. I think it's a scam. And people, you can disagree with me, that's fine. But my point is, I think if you're making 300-400 grand a year or more, that's the point at that point you start working smarter, or at that point you probably do work smarter. But if you don't, then let's say you got to, you're making 300-400 grand a year and on up or whatever it is, because you work so hard. Now at that point you might step back and say, well, I want to work smarter. But I can tell you this, if you're somewhere between $0 and $200,000 per year, just work your ass off. Forget about working smarter, because I can tell you this, it's not going to make a difference. Because I've tried all these things. I've done all these things. When I was making, what I made, whatever, small amount, and I'm trying to work smart. I'm trying to, manage my time, and I'm trying to do this, and it's like, no. Sometimes, guys, you could say I want to make a perfect phone call, and I want to make the perfect phone call, and I want the perfect pitch, and I want to talk to the best prospect I can talk to, and I want to iterate like this, and I want to say the perfect lines and have the perfect rebuttals. It's often better than that. Now, if you're making $1 million a year, you can do that. But if you're not making any money, what's better than having the perfect pitch? By picking up the damn phone call, by picking up the damn phone and making a phone call and calling that person. I'll finish with this. This was a big, like, kind of like a, I don't know if you want to call it a light bulb in my head, or it had a big effect on me. Back in like 2009, my oldest son was young, like a year old or whatever, and my wife and I, we didn't have any money, and I was trying to grow my business, and my business was just kind of just stuttering along, right? And the stress on me was enormous, and I'm not saying feel bad for me, and I'm not saying this as a wham or anything like that, but I'm telling you what it was. It was just enormous on me, and what it it was enormous of having a new, well, actually we weren't married yet, but having a new baby, and my eldest son, he didn't sleep a lot, and and we had the pressure of not being together that long, her and I, and then you add on to the pressure of a new relationship, pressure of a new baby, pressure of no money. It's a lot. So I'm trying to work, trying to get my business going. So a lot of times I get to the near the end of the day, and I would be burnt out. And I had at the time, I'm trying to think if at the time I had a certain amount of calls I would make. But I think at the time, instead of having a certain number of calls, I would work to a certain time. Usually it was 6 or 7 o'clock. And I would get to, like, a lot of times I'd get to like 5:30, and I would be completely burnt out, like physically, mentally. For those of you with mental jobs or mental stress, that when you're mentally stressed, it affects you physically. So I mean, I was like drained, like where I couldn't even talk. Like my voice would get real labored, real whatever. So a lot of times I would say, okay, well, you know what? I'm just gonna wrap it up for the day, and I'll get back at it tomorrow. And then one day I thought to myself, I said, okay, I'm completely burnt out. I'm completely spent for the day. But if I wrap up for today, my problem doesn't get any better. My problem either stays the same or gets worse. And then tomorrow, I got to deal with I got to deal with this tomorrow now without getting ahead. So I said, okay, I'm going to push through it. And I pushed through it. And I ended up getting a sale, a cold call sale that night. And getting a cold call sale wasn't like, it wasn't, like something that's unheard of. I got that very often, but it made me realize that. And on this sale, I remember the customer. I don't do business with this company anymore, but I remember a lot about it. And on the call, I remember my voice was very weak, very tired. Like I probably sounded like shit on the phone. I don't even know how I got the sale, whatever. But I did. They just happened to need the computer stuff, and I just happened to be the one who called them, and whatever else. But I realized that um, me at 25% is better than me at 0%. And now, and I know I get like what some people will say, well, you got to rest and you got to get back to 100%. And well, if next day you were at 100%, blah, 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 blah. No. Guys, I live this. The next day, if I didn't push through, the next day I had all those problems that I had the day before. And now I had more because now I had the problems of the next day. So I had to figure out how to get through that day and make more money, because if the next day I would have more bills due, now I'd still owe the bills from yesterday and the day before, wherever else. So I had to figure it out. So I realized that no, I can, if I push through at 25%, I was better than 0%. I was better making a call at 25% than I was at making no calls at 100%. If that, I hope that makes sense, because to me it was like it to this day, almost 20 years later, that still pops in my mind. And so I would say, forget the stuff that you're here. That you're getting told a lie. You're getting told a lie that you can't win anymore, because you could, but it takes a lot of work, and that's what no one will tell you. It takes a lot of work, and that's why some people don't want to hear this. Maybe shove the video. Some people shove the video, and that's okay. That's okay. But there's a few people watching, and you need to hear that. It takes a lot of work, but we'll wrap it at this. For me, I don't know if it occurred to me one day that it's going to take a lot of work to get ahead, or if, I don't think anyone told me. I don't know. Whatever. There's things people tell you along the way. There's things you figure out. There's things that come together. Whatever. But when it clicked, for whatever reason, for me, that my only way out was through hard work, for me it was actually very liberating, because I realized that I had some control over it. That it was like, okay, that I can't control the circumstance of the outside world. I can't control the circumstances of my business doing poorly, and being behind on bills and having no money, and my girlfriend at the time hating me, because we're on the verge of getting the heat shut off, and not being able to buy stuff for the baby, and her family hated me because they thought I was a schmuck, when really I thought I was a good guy and I'm working hard, but people don't see that, and that's okay. That's reality, right? But it was very liberating that when all of a sudden I started realizing, well, you know what? If I just bust my ass, if I just work my ass off, I just might be able to get ahead. I might be able to get ahead, and that's a reality. And it doesn't matter what you got to do. If you got to work, if you got to work extra in your business, you got to make more calls. You got to you got to take a second job. You got to start a business on top of the job you're working. Whatever it is you want to do, you got to just work harder, and working harder will get you ahead. It will get you. It will work.